Mm,
Can you see that?
guys, cheers.
Come on, there's a fleck.
Well, they think you're brimstone, so that's a good thing. I mean,
Oh, I'm such
you
a
know.
boomer. Yeah, for sure.
Guys, we have David Nottingham live on my Twitch today. He's a creative director of Valorant, and he's worked for over 20 years in video games. And
Yeah,
that's a
can you
really
tell? Can you
no, I
tell?
just read your bio. I would say,
Oh, okay.
maybe like, 8 years because you started so young and here we are. I feel like on all the projects I've been a part of, everybody always wants more lore. Like that's
Mm,
all I ever get questions about. And maybe because we're the actors, so they just assume that we know the
yeah,
backstory. But
yeah.
like those are all the questions we field, and half the time we don't have this information. So I think it's safe to say, right, that more backstory is always positive, or is that not always the case?
We have a lot of backstory and foundational lore that we just haven't revealed to players, right? Like so even say take with Raze, for example, we have backstory that motivates that character. And that's really important whether you share it with players or not, because
Yeah.
that's how a character feels real and multidimensional, right?
Yeah.
um, and so that's something that and then that's something that we have that we can build on. So like today the Brazil office just launched a really dope video
Yeah.
featuring Rays,
Yeah.
right? It was amazing. It was
I just
so
tweeted it.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, it was so good. And that was really exciting because people, when people want more lore, we hear that. And honestly, like if we could turn on the tap and just like, hey, you want an animated series, boom, here's an animated series. You want
Yeah.
comment here, we're like, but we're just we're a small set of humans. We're actually smaller than you might think, because Riot is kind of this big company, and League has all this amazing content that they've been putting out for 10 years, and we're
Yeah.
just getting started, right? So I think what's exciting about that piece that dropped from Brazil is, if we can work with all our different regions,
Oh,
that's another way we can help expand the universe for players,
absolutely.
right?
People care about the ages, their heights. They want
Right.
all this little information. Who's dating? Is Sage
Yeah, yeah,
dating Reyna? Is Raze dating Killjoy? Like
yeah.
when do these things come out? Do we always have to speculate?
So yeah, so I have the answer that people aren't gonna want to hear, which is I'm not gonna be able to rattle off like, okay, this age,
Yeah.
this relationship, but we do want to give people enough of a picture of who the character is and sort of build that up over time. So we released a height map sheet of all the characters, so you can kind of see like who are the shorties, who are the big tall guys.
That was super cute. Yes.
Yeah, and some people got mad that's because they thought Sky was gonna be like this huge like 6 foot plus character, but actually Sky, we'd always thought of Sky as having that like gymnast build, like if you think about
Yeah.
Simone Biles and people like that, like really stocky, powerful characters. So yeah, and then ages is something where like I don't know that we'll give people like their exact date of birth or anything, but that's something we should provide some info about as well. And then the relationship stuff is basically what we're interested in is like peeling back layers of who the characters are through story and conflict and things like that you will experience in the game, or the game ecosystem. So whether it's like a cinematic and there might be a moment that hints at
Mm-hmm.
something, right? Things like that. Because I think it's much more rewarding to reveal the characters through actions and events,
Absolutely.
right? Than
Absolutely.
just to be like, here's a whole bunch of information on the website, go crazy. I will say one
Yeah.
thing. Valorant Protocol, it does strongly discourage any kind of inter-agency fraternizing. So that is not encouraged. It's true.
But they're
Yeah.
all agents together, so we're screwed.
Well, I'm just saying it's not official policy. So,
Got it.
If
Okay.
anyone gets
So they
found
got
out,
it's
there might be a little like.
one thing I learned today with the Raze short, thanks to Danny, who is taking care of my Twitch channel, Maisie Grove, thank you so much. Is that if you look closely, Killjoy is in the window at the very beginning of Raze's short, and you could just assume, oh yeah, they're trying to plant that there. But there's a word in Brazilian Portuguese when a girl is like standing by the window, kind of pining over somebody, and in Spanish, in Portuguese, it's namoradeira, which means the in love one, or the one that's in love, or falling in love one. It's like a,
Oh, really?
And so, but it involves a window too. So it's not just, oh, let's put this chick there. I mean, I'm sure the Brazilian team has thought about this. Maybe I don't know. Maybe we look too much into it, but those things are really interesting because they're so specific to the cultural aspect as well.
Yeah, that does sound like a big clue, doesn't it?
Like a question came up earlier where they were asking if you've had to make some creative compromises due to budgetary situations. Like, what happens with gaming? You're not filming live action stuff on set. Like, what happens when it comes to development? Are there moments where you go, oh, we just can't do that because it's too complicated or too expensive?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably for us, it's less about budget. It's just more about, like, there are always constraints. A really big constraint for us that's an intentional constraint is that we want the game to play really well on low spec machines, right? So we had to develop an art style. Actually, a couple of reasons why. We have an art style that's designed to look good even on low spec machines. And also another constraint, as people know, is everything needs to be in service of the competitive integrity of the game. And so from a visual point of view, it was developing a style and a visual language in the maps, in the characters, that is highly supports readability, right? So if you look at the character, for example, you'll notice that, like, the head and the body tend to have, like, brighter colors than, say, like the pants down, right? Because that's from a gameplay point of view, as your brain is seeking around, like, those are the targets players are seeking for to be able to quickly hit.
Is there a story behind a specific character where, I don't know, Breach was going to be one way and then you guys just totally pivoted? Or I just find it interesting when you have this one idea and then it's like, that's not working at all, and then they end up very different.
So there's a bunch of, I think you can find concept art out there for earlier versions of some of the characters where they went through some dramatic changes. I think the one that I remember most, because it happened on my watch, was Killjoy. So Constantine, who's just this amazing artist, he basically kicked out that concept, that idea that became Killjoy. And it's one of these things where as soon as you see it, you're like, all right, well, we got to do this now, right? We can't not do this. This is just too brilliant, right? And everyone, like, when Anna saw it, she was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. We got to do that. So sometimes those are good changes that you make, because to me, she's become one of the standout characters for sure.
Was there ever a moment where something got leaked and you freaked the F out, and now in retrospect you go, it all worked out, it was fine, like it wasn't a big deal?
There have been, I think leaks are a bummer when they happen when you've put a lot of passion and effort into something that you want to land as a big moment for players, and you want them to experience it in real time. And then a leak can come out and it almost feels like the players get robbed of the experience that you curated, right? It's kind of like that movie debut, and then someone gets the bad, like, the shaky cam version that they filmed, and so you get to see a shaky cam version the week before, but did you really have the experience? The one that I will share is there was I don't know if this wasn't a leak. Well, this was an intentional leak. It was right up to launch, and I was really serious about basically like the tone of the game, and having this like stakes and battle ready agents, and not that we couldn't be playful, but the tone of the game was to sort of have a bit of that attitude, right?
Mhm.
um and so I was very serious about that, and then someone internally right before launch took Brimstone as a character model and then basically put like a goofy dance cycle on him, so Brimstone was doing like all this,
Well, that's
and
funny.
everyone was like cracking up, and they showed it in one of the meetings with Anna, and she loved it, and I was like, this is not funny, don't put it out, what are you talking about, you're going to undermine the integrity of the IP, why are you doing this? And so of course what happens, of course Anna posts it, she put it out on social media. Right? So, and of course players loved it and they thought it was amazing. And so like that was definitely an example of something where I was like, yeah, like you can't take it all too seriously,
Yeah.
and also, like players, they want to have fun with this stuff too. And I think that if we are having fun with it, hopefully they are too. So
So somebody asked if the new Raze trailer is canon. Can we assume that anything you guys put out is canon? I mean, it has to be, right? Or else you wouldn't put it out.
um so I think, yeah, basically we have this concept of a cinematic universe, right? And so content that comes out that's part of the cinematic universe, so that is, dualist, retake, duality, and I would consider this part of that cinematic universe as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, people can take that as part of the cinematic universe, and so yeah, that can be canon. You
Cool.
might see other content though that is not necessarily a cinematic story piece, right? Like that might be something that's a little more abstract or something. Like not everything that Riot puts out that has characters in would necessarily be canon, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Will we ever find out what happened to Reina's sister?
Do people want to find out?
They all want to know. It's killing me.
Okay. I feel like there's a lot of questions that people want to know, so maybe we need to figure out like the order in which people want to know them. I know we often get questions though, like, hey, would love to see an animated series, like something like that. I do, I actually really love the visual style of our cinematic universe, and it's really great to see our characters in that look, because it has a stylized look that is kind of the aspirational version of how we see the game in our heads, right? And obviously, again, within the game, working on low perf machines, like we're not turning on all the levels of whizziness, um, but we are just super focused on Valorant, the tac shooter, and we still
Yeah,
have a lot of work, a lot of
absolutely.
cool stuff. Like, oh my god, there's so many things I still want to do just from a creative point of view, and I know from the design and the experience, like there's so much more work that we still want to do. So
Yeah.
um I don't think we're quite ready to yet go, oh, let's
Just
go do a bunch of other stuff. We want to stay focused on this for now.
is there anything else that you'd like to share with the viewers that you'd love to share for moving forward with Valorant, or anything that's coming up that they can be excited about without saying what it is, or things that you've often thought of that you say, I just want them to know, to understand this, but I don't know.
I'm just excited to go into the next episode and the journey that we're on now, where we've sort of established this core foundational piece of the universe, right? Which is that the agents are dueling agencies, right? That is Valorant from one Earth and another Earth. And but that brings up a whole bunch of new questions, right? Like, and so I'm just excited now about how the journey ahead, as we start to peel back more of that universe, and maybe people start to understand a little bit more of what that conflict is about,
Yeah.
and maybe find out a bit more about Kingdom as well.
Oh, super.
Who is
Guys.
Kingdom? Who are Kingdom? What are they all about?
Uh-oh. Guys, thank you so much for joining. This has been fun. There were a ton of questions I did not ask, but
I'm sure
you know, with time, the answers will come up. So just keep an eye out
they
for.
can ask me on Twitter as well. I can't promise to answer, but you can
Yeah.
always.
Guys, give him a follow on Twitter. David Nottingham, thank you so much for joining us
Thank
today. This was
you.
fun. I learned a ton. I really appreciate this. You were the one who, you know, put Astra out there, and I got her on the channel a couple weeks ago, and that was really fun. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and we want to. I know you want to get some more people on as well from the Valorant VO community. So
Yeah.
hopefully.
And guys, keep booming and booping. Boop.